Yo, what is up, everybody? It is Archimedes Eisen here, back at it again with the 1800 subs special. I just came up with that randomly, but I'd like to thank everyone for subscribing and getting me to 800 subs. And I'm gonna say this right here. I'm not gonna say this in any other video. So this is like a special me and yous guys, or girls or gals. Um, when I hit 2K, I'm just gonna say me and the homie Rogue, we finna hit the studio if you get my vibe. I don't know, every rapper says this. We're actually gonna hit the studio. We don't, I wish I had a studio though. It's just like a room where like there's soundproofed and I could just like make videos like constantly. So yeah, this video will be what if Naruto was Unohana's reincarnation or reincarnate. And I like recently, Mice has been getting on my ass for like reincarnation stuff and how it doesn't make sense, but this what if it makes sense directly. Number one, Unohana is dead in the Bleach timeline verse. I'm sorry if I spoiled you, any of you guys, but come on, it's literally in volume 55. Like if you didn't read the Bleach manga, then what are you doing here? So, spoiler alert. As you all know, Unohana was killed by Kenpachi because Unohana wanted to release some of his potential. Since number one, Kenpachi's been holding back the whole time in the whole show, all of Bleach itself. In the timeline, he did release some of his power. He got stronger, but due to like first we see Kenpachi's development. Right after he loses to Ichigo, he's like calling out to his Zanpakuto, saying like, "Are you still there?" Trying to call out to it, and then you can see Yachiro appears, like the little girl. And then it goes all the way to Kenpachi, getting Shikai, and then like Yachiro getting him Bankai, and then Kenpachi having his dual wield Bankai in the light novel. I actually didn't know about that until Meister himself told me. Without like Meister really hates Aizen, but he definitely reads the light novel like it's crazy. So before I go on any more tangents, yeah, thanks. I'll link Bankcard in the description. He did help me with the thumbnail, but it was basically me as the hands, obviously. And without further ado, guys, roll that non-existent intro. So we pretty much start this what if when Naruto Uzumaki is born. Now how this would work is Unohana would die, and as normal as Bleach works, you reincarnate. So Unohana reincarnates into a blonde boy or canon blonde boy named Naruto Uzumaki. Now this time her black hair, the dominant features would appear on Naruto. So Naruto would have the black hair, no whisker marks, more of a pale face, not like too pale like the Otsutsuki's, but a more pale, a little bit pale face. It's not like kind of like the yellow face we see. Not gonna lie, Naruto looks like that same like Hitler look, like the Ubermensch, the person with blonde hair and blue eyes that Hitler wanted for every citizen in Germany. But I'm not, like I said, I can't be going on any other tangents anymore. So a baby Naruto would be born with black silky hair. Honestly, silky hair isn't really realistic, but he would be born with black hair and pale face, just like I said. And pretty much his parents would obviously cough it up to a mutation that he even has black hair, since they've read many times before that kids didn't actually have the same hair color as their parents. So yeah, it's not too hard of a guess. And pretty much Obito would come in, snatch Naruto after Obito's wife, not Obito's wife, Hiruzen's wife would be cleaning him up. So Obito would kind of take this time to strike. He would hold Naruto to a kunai to his neck, saying that telling Minato to get away from the Ninth Jinchuriki, or aka Kushina Uzumaki. So Minato would back up, telling Obito to calm down, and Obito would respond, "I'm the only one who's calm here." You can see Minato's like taking deep breaths. He's sweating from his forehead. You can see the sweat drop rolling down his cheek. And Obito would then say, "Time's up," before he would then put a bomb seal on Naruto's blankets. Now Minato, being the yellow flash he is, would automatically Flying Raijin to a seal he put on Naruto, and he would pretty much throw off the blankets and Flying Raijin to a seal he put in the forest right outside the cave they were, Kushina was having birth in. Then Minato would then, flying Raijin all the way to the Namikaze compound when he would put Naruto down, and he would put on his Hokage's cloak before heading out. Now, all eventually the same. Minato slams a Rasengan into Obito. Minato and Kushina, Minato uses the Shikifuje technique to then seal the Nine Tails into Naruto, or at least he tried to, and Kushina would have the Nine Tails hold it down, or, pretty much trapped in her Uzumaki chains. Now, the Nine Tails would see, once Minato would seal half of it inside himself, the yin half, he would, get free, and he would see that he's gonna be sealed into Naruto. So he would go to put his nail into Naruto, when suddenly Kushina and Minato would jump in front of it, just like per usual. So, I guess Unohana's spiritual pressure would sense this inside Naruto, and he could already, he would be like Naruto / Unohana. It's hard to really get the pronouns, so if I get my pronouns wrong, like he or she, don't really come after me. I just mean Naruto. Now, his Naruto's spiritual pressure would suddenly awaken as his hair would become tangled, or move freely, kind of like Unohana or like Kushina's hair kind of moves around, and Naruto's spiritual pressure would shoot out almost like Aizen when he was going to shoot down the Soul King, but this time he wouldn't be interrupted. He would shoot the his spiritual pressure and pretty much exert it onto the Kurama. Now, slowly but surely, Kurama would start to turn into little dust, like Hawkeye. And Naruto would erase the Nine Tails from existence. Now, Minato would look towards Naruto with his last moments of life. Naruto's going to be fine. So, Kushina would get out her last words, and Minato would be like, yeah, just like what she said. And, Hiruzen and the other Anbu would pull up to the barrier, and they would, Hiruzen would be told by Kushina his name's Naruto, and and Minato would say, please take care of him, and they would, bite dust, or hit the road, Jack. Never mind. Now, pretty much we'll do a time skip for about 4 years. And on this timeline, Naruto, he grew up, and for some reason, when all the villagers, they don't like Naruto. So, but what would happen is each time, Naruto or the villagers would exert their hatred towards him, Naruto can feel that. When it comes to Ryatsu and Killer Instinct, they can feel that. So whenever Naruto would feel this, he would immediately lash out, and he would start to throw hands. And for some reason, he was really good at throwing hands. He was really good at using Hakada. So Hiruzen would see this, and how like in shows or like some anime, like the troubled kids, when they're really good at fighting but they're not good at their behavioral problems, their teachers, they see potential in them and they start training them, and this is kind of what would happen. Hiruzen would see potential in Naruto, and maybe seeing that, he should probably train Naruto to get off his mind, and, he doesn't have to have any of his outbursts like he does now. So he would start to train Naruto in weapons, and when he was, showing him weapons, Naruto, like a sudden sword would appear in one of the choices of the weapons, but none of them noticed. So Naruto was looking around, and he noticed that same blade that suddenly appeared, and he would walk up to it and start fantasizing over it. This blade was, beautiful to him. Now, pretty much Hiruzen would say, oh, so you like that blade, Naruto? And Naruto would nod his head, and pretty much he would say, alright, how about I teach you some Kenjutsu? I'm not really a master in it, but, I am, I'm pretty good at, proficient at, Kenjutsu. I can teach you until, you're at, you're in the academy, and hopefully you can try to train yourself from there. Naruto would, he would nod excitedly, and we'll do a time skip for about 4 years. Hiruzen would teach Naruto everything he knew about Kenjutsu. He would give him every book that was, recorded about Kenjutsu from even the time of the Sage of Six Paths. Naruto was like the master at Kenjutsu. Now, so when Naruto moved out, he was probably moved to a nice apartment. Nothing too bad, nothing too good either, not luxurious. It was just middle class. Now, pretty much he would have a huge library of about a lot of books. So in this time, at that 4 years, he would have learned those 8,000 sword styles. And let's just say those sword styles, there was a lot of sword styles. So Naruto is very proficient in sword styles. And even the memories from Yachiro Unohana, or Retsu. I'm just gonna say her real name. Don't think I mean like Nozarashi. I actually mean Unohana. So Yachiro's memories would kind of form itself into the edges of Naruto's soul, or reform itself, since it was always there, since Naruto was just a second life now. So Naruto, due to those sudden memories, he would start to become more proficient at healing, and he would start to visit the hospital more. So he would start to get tips and tricks from some of the doctors there or surgeons there, and he would become more proficient at healing and swordsmanship. Now, Hiruzen would be seeing his progress, and for some reason, he's never actually seen a swordsman who is actually good at healing. For some reason, there's something in the chakra network. When you start using sword techniques, it's like your network, your life force changes to that of a swordsman. There's no like middle. You can't be like a healing and then like a swordsmaster. That's why in teams they had a healing, and then they have more like a defense, and then they had like an offensive team member, because they couldn't really have members of both. So now that Naruto can use healing and swordsman techniques, he was seen to be a prodigy in the Leaf Village, and he'd pretty much scare off anyone that would like try to spar him. So we'll be going into that a little more in depth soon, once we progress forward in the video. Now we'll go to the day when Naruto is becoming a ninja. Now once he would sign up, he would be confused. Should he sign up as a healing ninja or a swordsman? He was thinking maybe he should sign up as both. So he asked Hiruzen if he could sign up as like a half swordsman, half healing ninja, and pretty much they would just call him a hybrid, in a sense. Technically he would technically be a hybrid. Yeah, that's definitely right. So pretty much what would happen is Naruto would kind of be signed up as a hybrid ninja, and that would kind of be his nickname for all throughout the academy. So on that same day, he would walk over there, sign up, and he would, wave at, Itachi's family, Sasuke, and Fugaku, and Mikoto. Since Mikoto was still friends with Kushina, she was still friendly towards Naruto, and that's where Naruto would get his style of smiling towards people with like a etch of Ryatsu to it, make him scared. That's where he got it from Mikoto. Since he's been there a few dinners, and he's seen like Mikoto and Fugaku kind of having an argument. So Mikoto would use that smile, and Fugaku would just suddenly forget what they were arguing about. Yeah, you're gonna be laughing. Nah, I'm just gonna, I don't know. I just laughed there for a second. Now, pretty much Naruto would walk in, and he would start to see all the kids. He would see like Shikamaru, Shino, Choji, Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, and all the other civilian families' kids. They would start to go there and start to sign up for the orientation for the academy and starting to join. Now they would sit down as Iruka Imono and Mizuki. I actually don't know his last name, but we'll just call him Mizuki. They would both walk in, and they would start to explain to them what they'll be doing in their whole academy years. So they'll first start the orientation. They would introduce themselves, Iruka Amino and Mizuki, and they'll start to explain that they'll be their sensei for the next 6 years. I'm gonna make the academy just 2 years longer, so it shouldn't be that much. It's like getting a master's degree at a college. So pretty much after they would get some textbooks, and they would start to review over the history, and he could easily see the kids were bored. They were used to playing outside, training with their parents, and now they could see they're bored. So Ruka would come up with a bright idea. He said, guys, let's go spar outside. We can gauge your skill level, and you can have a little fun. Since back then, kids were most entertained by sparring with each other. They didn't really hate each other, but they liked fighting each other. It was a natural occurrence in the society back then. So all the kids would start getting excited, or at least the kids that really liked fighting. All the other kids would sit back and analyze each other, and they would spar still, but they wouldn't be as forward as the other kids, like Sasuke or Naruto. So once they would go out there, we would obviously see that Naruto would start to spar everyone, since they would kindly ask him, and Naruto couldn't refuse. So once they would get into the battlefield, for some reason, Naruto would look at them and smile before he would start to exert his spiritual pressure. And for some reason, they would concede. Every time a kid would concede, and it would shock them. How would Naruto make them concede or anything like that? So pretty much we'll go over to the Sasuke versus Naruto fight. Now Sasuke would challenge Naruto, in a bit of his friendly smile, since the Uchiha massacre hasn't taken place yet. So Sasuke is still having his more youthful smile. I mean, not that he doesn't, but we all see he's kind of, after that he never really got his smile back until maybe I guess after the fourth Great Ninja War. Like when it's not like an evil smile, when it's an actual genuine smile. It's not until at the end of Naruto Shippuden when he's walking off with his headband. Like Naruto gives him his headband back. Now, pretty much Sasuke would start to run in and fight Naruto, but Naruto would exert some of his spiritual pressure. It would have been lower class, so all the other kids were having trouble with it. But since Sasuke was trained, he was able to overcome it. He would start to slow down, and it would feel like he was being like put weights on his shoulder. He would just so suddenly walk, and Naruto would be quite surprised. He would see that this was the only person who could pretty much hold against his spiritual pressure. You could see when he fought Shikamaru, you could see Shikamaru could also resist it, but for some reason Shikamaru was too lazy, so he just conceded just like everyone else. Now Sasuke would start to go in, and pretty much he would try to use his fire style fireball jutsu. Now Ruka would be quite worried, and pretty much he would be worried since the fire would almost look like it hit Naruto. But Naruto would use Bakudo number 81 Danku, but it wouldn't look like it actually hit. So once the flames would then be revealed or dispersed, a shield would be revealed. It would be transparent, but Naruto would still make the Danku just like normal. Now pretty much Sasuke would be like, I've never seen such a jutsu. What is that? Naruto would just say, it's just manipulation of chakra to form an object. You haven't been taught this, Sasuke Uchiha? And then Sasuke would say, no, Itachi said that's like the second form. I barely got the first part in. After this, he would smile at Sasuke and say, well, maybe I can show you one day. Now after this, Sasuke would then suddenly feel all the pressure that Naruto was exerting on him, and he would kind of fall over onto his knee, and Sasuke would then do the unison sign with Naruto, and they would kind of end it like that, kind of somewhat forming a friendship-ish. But after that would happen, pretty much Naruto would head home, and all the other kids would head home, seeing that Naruto was just like a chill guy. He wasn't like in Ken, like the goofy, always seeking attention, but this time Naruto didn't feel like he needed attention, he was already receiving it. So Naruto would head home, and we'll do a time skip for about I'd say about 6 years, to the end of the academy. All the kids, they would learn all the facts about the first great ninja wars and all the great ninja wars. They would learn about all the significant Hokages, all Madara, and all the other war people that were mentioned. They would learn all the history. Then they would learn other villages' history, like the Cloud Village, how they have two Jinchuriki, what are Jinchuriki. They were pretty much told that they didn't have a Jinchuriki, but due to all their Anbu forces and all the Jonin, like Kakashi and Guy, they were able to sustain themselves as a village due to those significant people withholding the foundations of the village in a sense. Now, pretty much Naruto would wake up and he would put on his Shihakusho, and the Hiyori of Squad 4 would have the kanji for 4, and pretty much he would then sheath his sword carefully. He loved this sword at this point. It wasn't like a love that between people. It was a love between a wielder and the sword, pretty much. Now Naruto would sheath his sword as he would open his door to his bedroom. He would go downstairs and drink some water before then walking out. Since Naruto, due to him being a doctor and very knowledgeable in the doctor, he tried intermittent fasting. If you guys don't know what that is, it's just pretty much not only drinking liquids for about 18 hours, I guess. Maybe some people do 20, some people do a certain amount of hours, but pretty much you start from like 6 p.m. and then you go for like the next day at about 12 p.m. 1 p.m. and you just drink liquids because it cleanses your body with all the poisonous, not poison, it's not actually poison, but the food we eat can be poisonous in a sense. So you drink all that water and you cleanse your body from the inside. Don't actually take this sexually, of course. So pretty much you would drink water before leaving the house. I don't know why I went on a tangent about intermittent fasting, but he would head over to the academy where he would walk in and he would wave to all the academy students, and they would obviously wave back as he would sit down next to Sasuke. Sasuke would him and Sasuke would start having a conversation. Naruto would be like, how was your day, Sasuke? Sasuke was pretty much the only person who would actually I mean, sorry, Naruto was the only person Sasuke would respond to. I mean, he kind of nodded to other people. He wasn't as emo as Kanon, so pretty much this was a good development. As we all know, I mean, why would you want someone to be emo? It doesn't really make sense, unless you have a weird fetish, but hey, I don't judge, okay? So, pretty much Sasuke would respond, it was the usual night. I was just training with my fire style. And pretty much Naruto, we gotta really get training with your fire manipulation, you know. Soon you'll be able to form dragons and snakes and all other stuff like that. And pretty much Sasuke would start, reveal a hidden smile. Not reveal, but just smile to himself. And he would say, all right, Naruto-san, I guess that, yeah. I don't know if I would say, I don't know which, I don't know if I would say like Kon. I wouldn't say Kon or Chan, so I would just say San. Just, it's much better. So pretty much Iruka would walk in, and there wouldn't be no confrontation between Naruto and Sakura like what happened in canon. It just never happened. Since Sakura, just set with Ino. Since number one, they didn't really actually have any conflicts due to the infatuation with Sasuke. So that's just better in general. Now Iruka would walk in and who starts explaining to them about how happy he is. He would kind of shed a tear as they'll be leaving. He's been with them for about 6 years. He taught them everything they know from they were probably the height of his knee, and now they're probably as taller than him. They're 14. So there would have to be some emotional moment. I'm not just gonna skim over this like the other people do. I have to show that there was some significance between the academy teacher and the students. Now he would start to explain to them that they'll have their final test. They'll just need to, do a shuriken and kunai test, and then go through an obstacle course, and then finally end with the shadow clone. Of course, after doing the test. Now Mizuki would come in, and he would start to hand out all the tests. Now, there wouldn't be no manipulating of the questions or anything. I mean, Mizuki would manipulate his questions to make it way harder. Like, he changed the test so it would have questions that only double S-rank ninjas would know. And if you're wondering how would Naruto know this, how would Mizuki know this if he was only a Chunin? Number one, he worked with Orochimaru, so he had some access to some intel. So of course we know intel of S-rank secrets. Now the next thing I'll be going over is the test. Now, how the test, we'll go over question one, and also I'm going to be like Izukage. I'm going to say a question, and hopefully you guys can answer the comments. So we'll start off easy, then we'll go off to medium difficulty, then we'll go off to hard. So the easy question is, who is the masked man from the Nine Tails? Now, this actually won't be on the test. The test was probably who created Shadow Clone Jutsu, which would be Tobirama Senju. But if you guys tell me who is the masked man throughout all of this series, and I'll pin your comment. Now, pretty much what we'll be going over next is the kunai test. Now, so pretty much everyone would go out, and they would, Iruka would hand them each of them a bag of kunai from the school supply. Now, pretty much Naruto would go first, as he would, take a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. I can't really breathe properly. My nose is kind of stuffed. Don't think of that sexually either. Now, Naruto would take out the kunais, and he would start to jump up in the air doing the same move that Itachi did, and he would start to do a backflip and start to spin around throwing kunais on all the targets, and he would make them, he would kind of throw one and ricochet off another, hitting another target, and he would do the same for all of the targets. Now, even though he only had one target, he went above and beyond. So Iruka would give him 11 out of 10. Now, pretty much Sasuke would connect, and due to Sasuke getting tips from Naruto about the throwing angle, since Naruto is very proficient in medical ninja, this includes what's that study where you learn about the insides, the bones, the muscles? I think that's called physical. I can't remember. If I remember, I'll put it in the description. No, he would have been studying medical ninjutsu, so he would know the angles you have to throw at, and he would whisper into his ear, telling him, and he would just give enough tips for Sasuke to get a 10 out of 10, throwing it at the same target, hitting it in the same place. After he threw the 10 kunai in the same area, the small dot in the middle, there would be no space to be thrown another kunai. He was really improvising there. Now, pretty much Sasuke would get a 10 out of 10. And yeah, pretty much what we'll be going over next is the shuriken. This would pretty much like go exactly the same as canon. Like Naruto, not really canon, but Naruto would obviously do really good. So would Sasuke, and Shikamaru, all the others would do average or a little bit above average, like 7 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. It would just be in that zone. And Naruto and Sasuke would be like the outliers. If you don't know what that is, outliers is like the significant people. Like you either do really bad or really good. You're completely different from the flock of sheep. I just like to give you an example. So all the sheep, they do exactly the same. They do the same work. They get the same average grade between, like, let's say 7 out of 10 and 9 out of 10. Now Naruto and Sasuke are outliers, so they get about at least 10 out of 10. They're very proficient and efficient at what they do. So that's what an outlier is. So yeah. Now I don't know. I just like to explain to you guys that, I don't want you being like stupid on other stuff like this. So pretty much what would happen is now Naruto would completely ace his test. He would go over, do the clone test, and what would he do is he would do the signs, and he would pretty much put Ryatsu in making a pseudo version of a clone, a shadow clone. Then he would pass. He would be given a headband, which he would just put on his waist, kind of how Sakura does. I don't know if you guys see this, but she actually like puts a headband under her waist. I don't know if I'm tripping, but if she does it, then Naruto's still gonna put it like around his waist, or like in his pouch, which is on his waist. He doesn't like to wear it. So pretty much Naruto would graduate, and right after everyone leaves, Naruto and Sasuke would walk out, and they would just go to the training ground and spend the rest of the evening or afternoon technically training. Now Naruto would kind of be lying on the tree with Sasuke on the other tree, and he would start to ask Sasuke, so what are you gonna do now? Are you still planning on getting justice for your clan? Sasuke would kind of scoff and say, of course, it's for my pride, and the pride of the clan. Why wouldn't I go after Itachi still? And Naruto would say, well, I guess if you're going after him, you need a healer, right? After this, Sasuke would say, I guess I do. And pretty much this would be like their official statement that they'll be going together. And not together, but like Naruto wouldn't mind coming along, obviously, because Naruto doesn't really have a specific. No, Naruto doesn't have a goal that pretty much goes against Sasuke. His goal is just to become the strongest swordsman, and that doesn't really go against Sasuke's goal. They're just interlying, or yeah. Now, pretty much at about 30 minutes later, Naruto would sense a presence in the forest. Now he would sense Mizuki's chakra holding a certain text he remembers seeing every day when he was back at the young age, and this was the Scroll of Sealing. So he would put Ryatsu into his eyes, and he would see that Mizuki apparently has pretty much stole the Scroll of Sealing and has killed an academy student, unfortunately. Now Naruto would tell Sasuke to quickly get up as they would head over. Naruto would flash step towards the forest wall. Sasuke would use the usual body flicker. Now they would pretty much get to the forest, and they would see pretty much Mizuki burying the body, and Naruto would start to unsheath his sword, appearing behind Mizuki and quickly stabbing Mizuki through the chest. Now once like Mizuki would be killed by Naruto, Naruto would tell Sasuke to burn his body, and Sasuke would quickly comply as he would use his fire style fireball jutsu to quickly burn Sasuke's body. Now, I mean, not Sasuke, Mizuki's body. Now, yeah, I said Sasuke uses fireball jutsu to burn Mizuki's body. Then Naruto would stab the body, basically turning it into nothing but ashes, as the ashes would then be used as protein by the ground. That's just basic geology, not geology, basic earth science. Now, pretty much after Naruto kills Mizuki, the Anbu would start to report in, and Naruto would report to them using the symbols. Like he would pull up the shirt, and it would show the tattoo he got, and actually join the Anbu, but he still liked to get the tattoo. They would then lower the guards, as Naruto would explain to them that he was in the forest at Training Ground 7, and he felt the presence of Mizuki, and he pretty much sensed that he was holding a certain seal, and he sensed the seal as well. So he went over there, and he saw Mizuki basically burying a academy student, and he pretty much executed Mizuki. Now they would pretty much write this in the report, send Mizuki's body or ashes to Ibiki, and Ibiki would start to go through whatever is left. Since these type of ninjas, they can still go through memories of ashes. It's still possible, because what would happen is Naruto would go over there, he would fix Mizuki's body back to its dead form, and he would retrieve the information for Ibiki, or help him retrieve the information, and then he would turn it back to ashes, and then this will be like a covert operation. Nobody else outside of those same people would actually know what happened. Now, pretty much, well, that's the end of that. Naruto would head home, as Sasuke would say goodbye to him. Now the next day we'll be going over Team 7, the bell test, everything like that. Now, pretty much the next day Naruto would get up, as he would put on his shahakusho and his Hiyori, as he would then put his he would look at the headband that had the symbol of Konoha. It really woke him up. I don't know, the symbol itself, it gave him energy, and he remembered. He got a flashback. Naruto was sitting after one of his sessions of pretty much beating up villagers, and he was going to say, Naruto, we go over this every time. You do know that even though these villagers don't like you, you have to be the better person. You have to carry the will of fire. Naruto will respond, the will of fire? He was going to start to, get a picture of Tobirama. Now, he would explain to them that Tobirama was killed, and pretty much... So, now we pretty much go back into this what if. Now, I was kind of kindly interrupted from the man, the myth himself, Yami, obviously. So, he's telling me what I can do. Now, for now, we'll go back to the flashback. Naruto would kind of remember the last words of Hiruzen saying, the will of fire. As he would look at the Konoha headband, he says, nah, the will of fire? Nah, the will of these nuts. Nah, I'm just kidding. But that was Yami's idea. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely, if he comments before anyone answers that question I gave earlier, I'm pinning it, like straight up. The will of these nuts. Yo, it's kind of like the will of D from One Piece, but now it's just like these nuts. So yeah, so pretty much we resume the what if when Naruto would get back, and he would start to get ready for the day. Now he would obviously get his stuff on, get his pouches full and his sword before he would walk out and head to the academy. Now once he would get to the academy, he would walk in and he would see all the other teams that passed, like basically Team 10, Team 8, Team 7, and yeah, so like it would have been Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, then it would have been Team 8, Hinata, Shino, Kiba, then it would have been Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Yeah, I don't really want to change up the teams. I want to make Sakura useful. Like, hopefully, with Naruto's advanced knowledge of medical ninjutsu, I'll actually make it possible for Sakura to get the 100 healings, maybe even before the Chunin exams. Like, just that much progression is unbelievable. Then, like, what would happen is, like, he would teach Sakura his own version of the 100 healings, but completely better than that shit 100 healings. Like, that shit 100 healings would just be inferior at that point, just in this what if, of course. I won't try to replicate it into different what ifs. It's just gonna keep original at this point. Now, pretty much Naruto would sit down and they would be at the table. It would be Sasuke to his left, Sakura to his right, he'd be in the middle. Now, pretty much, Sakura wouldn't really, like, be mean or, like, really, any ignorant. It would, chill, have a convo. Sakura would explain her backstory. Sasuke would obviously do the same, even though Naruto already knows it. And Naruto would explain his. He was already, like, he would be explaining to Sakura and Sasuke. He'll be going over, like, when he was growing up, for some reason, he lashed out at other people because they gave him, like, weird looks, and, Naruto didn't like that. So, pretty much, the Hiruzen, or the old man, pretty much, obviously, Sakura would reprimand him, saying, you should say, Lord Hokage, or put a good honorific. And, Naruto would, correct himself, as he would say, Hiruzen would pretty much, teach me Kenjutsu for 4 years, and after that, he gave me loads of books of knowledge, and I learned on my own. I learned 8,000 styles of Kenjutsu, or swordsmanship. After this, Sakura would be like, 8,000? Are you sure you don't mean 8 or 800? Naruto would mean, no, Sakura-san. I mean 8,000. I'm not joking here. After this, she'd be like, that's so cool. I didn't know anyone could even know 100. Styles. Talk about what 8,000. So yeah. Now pretty much. Iruka would walk in, start to introduce all the teams. Team 7. We'll start off from like 7, 8, and then 10. So Team 7 would be Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, and the sensei will be Kakashi. It was quite coincidental since they're already sitting next to each other, so they already kind of accepted that they'll be a team. Now the next team will then be Team 8. Now this team would be obviously entailed of Hinata, Hyuga, Kiba, Inuzuka, and none other than Shino Aburame. Now, obviously, these teammates having similar abilities that are compatible, similar to that of Electrons. Now, I don't even want to go into that. Now, Kurenai and Asuma would walk in. Obviously, I didn't say Team 10. Shikamaru, the Shiko Ino Cho team, and Asuma and Kurenai would come in maybe the next 5 minutes. Now Sasuke and Sakura would be sitting there. Naruto would have a realization. If there's only really three important joining team leaders. It would be Asuma, Kurenai, who we just saw, and the last one is Kakashi. Guy already has his team, so that means Kakashi, he's already have a habit of lating. He has a habit for being late for anything that's less than a B rank mission. So he would tell Sasuke, it's gonna be a while. How about we go get some lunch? After this, Sakura would be like, wait up, before she would start to run behind them. Now, they would pretty much head over to, they wouldn't really go over to the ramen shop. They would go to Naruto's personal favorite place. It was like the barbecue place. Now, once they would get there, they would already see Team 10's already there. And Asuma would say, so Kakashi didn't come? And Naruto would look at him pretty blankly. He would say, don't you know Kakashi? He's always late to everything. After this, Asuma would start to have a laugh while he's has a sweat drop, kind of like a anime moment kind of thing. Now, pretty much they would sit down and they would start having eating barbecue. It would have been a cool moment. Now pretty much what would happen next is damn, I just saw like a message from Ronan saying like Izukage has a crush on you and Zether. This is really funny. Yeah, so pretty much we'll resume this what if. They would eat the barbecue for about 30 minutes. It's kind of relax. Start to go over their goals. Sakura would say, I kind of want to become like a strong kunoichi, and like Unohana's side would start to come out. Not really like Unohana herself, but the side of Naruto would start to come out. And he'd explain, Naruto would explain to Sakura saying, I could teach you in the healing. I can tell you have great potential for it. And if you know healing, that means you can know Genjutsu, and I can clearly see you know a lot about that. So how about we'll start from now, we'll teach you basic healing, then we'll go over to advanced techniques, and then soon you can start doing Genjutsu techniques, and who knows, you can even wield a sword. Now, after this, Sakura would be like, really? And Naruto would nod his head. Pretty much, yeah, we're not gonna let Sakura be the trash can. Like, I see so many what ifs where they just they do our boy, not our boy, she's not a boy, but they do Sakura dirty. Like, adult Sakura probably sold some of your favorite verses, like My Hero, Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter. She's like probably low country level, so any weak verses, they probably get soloed by Sakura. Now, pretty much, let's just get back into it. I don't want to start any any arguments in the comments. Now, pretty much after they finished eating barbecue, they would head back to the academy, where Kakashi about 15 minutes later would come in, and this time there will be no eraser falling on his head, and pretty much they'll be sitting there waiting patiently, as Kakashi would say, you guys are all boring, I want to kill myself. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't actually know why I came up with that. I probably shouldn't say that. Yeah, that's my bad. Now, Kakashi would say, you guys are all boring, before he would tell them to all go upstairs, and pretty much, Team 7 would go upstairs via Flash Step or Shunpo or Sakura just running up the stairs. Sakura running up the stairs, that's like the fastest technique I've ever heard. Tell me about that in the comments. Like, straight up, Sakura the fastest character in all of anime. Like, she's faster than Tenten. Tenten is like massively faster, like plus Like she was pretty much faster than light, massively faster than light, like no diffs faster than light. I'm just joking at this point. Now, Kakashi would start to ask for the likes, dislikes, goals, and attributions. So we'll start off from right to left. So it'd be Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke. Sakura would say, my likes, we just went to this barbecue restaurant today and I really like it. So that's definitely one of my likes now. My other likes are, for some reason now, learning about medical ninjutsu and hopefully genjutsu. And then my other likes is pretty much, going outside, looking at the trees. I really like the nature. It's just really appealing. And especially the mountains of Konoha by the Hokage faces. They really, speak to me at that point, symbolically, of course. And she would say her dislikes. She would say she doesn't really like to go into her dislikes. I mean, why would I talk about dislikes? We don't gotta focus on the negative unless we go on a mission. It's ideals versus ideals. Now, pretty much she would say her goal is to become hopefully the strongest kunoichi in the world. So she can show people that women aren't just like women can be pretty much strong ninja too. I don't want to go into like any political ideals or anything like that. So I'm just keep it simple. Now the next goal would be none other than Naruto. Naruto would say his likes are training with his sword. He would say her name is Minazuki. That's the name of his sword. And pretty much Kakashi would interrupt him saying her. You named your sword like your sword a name and then like a pronoun. Pretty much she would say, yeah, her name's Minazuki. I really couldn't think of like Minazuki doesn't sound like a male name, does it? Or Kakashi would say like nod with his head no, and pretty much would say yeah. So I kind of gave it a pronoun her. It's kind of, I don't want to, don't make me sound like those that community, but basically the next thing you would say is dislikes. Dislikes are people who are numb to their own logic. For some reason, people just don't seem to want to use their logic. The thing they were born with. He wants people to fight back against the system, the curse of hatred by just knowledging themselves. Basically, in the real world, we think of it as we fight back against the corporations by becoming smarter. And the Naruto verse is fighting back by becoming smarter against the curse of hatred. Now, that's kind of a similar thing in the real world, but we're just going to keep it into the Naruto verse. So he says he wants everyone to basically, become smarter. That's one of his goals as well, he would say, after saying his dislike. He didn't say his other goal is to become the smartest swordsman / medical ninjutsu in the world. Obviously, looking towards Sakura and saying, you could be second, of course. And pretty much what would happen next is Kakashi would look towards Sasuke, and you would already see this team, they like each other. So if Sasuke likes other people, the other team, and he assumes that Sasuke would kind of be a little in distance since the Uchiha massacre. But Sasuke was weirdly outgoing. You would tell everyone that his likes, his training, walking around in Uchiha district, other stuff like that, and his dislikes are, obviously Itachi, and any person who dares ever, kill their own family. Just specific attributes that he doesn't like. Next thing is his goal. His goal is to bring justice by arresting, Itachi Uchiha. Now, if you're wondering why doesn't he say kill? Now, pretty much, if he assumes that if he arrests, Itachi, he'll be brought back and he can execute himself. Since back then, Itachi did a horrible crime, so that's definitely punishable by execution, and Sasuke hopes he can execute him himself. End the family problems before keep it in the family, as they say. So pretty much what will go next is Kakashi. He would start to give them the example or introduce himself. My name's Kakashi Hatsuki. My likes, none of your business. My dislikes, none of your business. My goals, I don't really have one. I already think I accomplished it. Then he would start to explain to everyone that they'll be having a small mission, a test, perhaps, tomorrow at about sunrise, 20 minutes from sunrise, like before sunrise. I want you to all be there, and I want your stomachs to be empty. Naruto would say, I have no problem with this, me. The only thing I'm going to drink is water. Before Kakashi would say, I don't fucking care. And he would tell everyone to be there before he would then disappear into a pile of leaves, and the leaves would just disappear. Now, once Team 7 would head home, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, they would go through a deep training. Like, after this, they'd be, like, breathless. They'd be all, like, sweating and shit. Like they had a problem breathing. Not actually, a problem, but, I'm just, being exaggerant. Now, pretty much, the next day, Naruto would wake up, and he would, get his stuff on before drinking maybe around 2 liters of water. That'd be, like, 4 bottles worth. 4 16-ounce bottle worth, before he would pretty much walk out, go over to Sasuke's house about 10 maybe 15 minutes before, and then they would walk over to Sakura's house, and Sakura would be there. She'd be all tired and shit, but she would still be ready, as they would go over. As right before they would walk in, he would tell them, look towards him, as he would make a water Kido, and he would splash their faces, to wake them up, get their blood flowing. It is morning. You gotta be like, Lee at this point. You gotta be up, the beauty of youth and all. I don't know why. Like, I suddenly got energetic as well. Like, who knows, man? This thing is contagious. Now, pretty much, they would head over to the training ground, and pretty much, Kakashi would be watching from the way. Now, he would see that Ashi came early, so he'll decide, instead of 3 hours, he'll lower it to about 1 hour and a half. So about 1 hour and a half later, Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura would kind of be sparring a little bit, light sparring, since they're going to fight Kakashi, or that's what they think at least. That's what Naruto predicts. So basically, Kakashi would, jump off the tree and pretty much come to walk up into the clearing after about 1 hour and 30 minutes of him basically waiting and watching what they're doing. And pretty much like maybe 15 minutes in, he would see that they're just starting training, and he would just like this team. Like, number one, even like when they know he's not coming, they start working on themselves. They're not like sitting there wasting your time. They're finally being productive and all. So he would come down, and they would kind of just finish a spar, and they're just like sitting down and waiting or reading a book. And he would come down, and he would start to explain to them what they'll be doing on this morning / afternoon or high noon. And he would start to explain to them that they'll be doing a test, the bell test. Now, Naruto remembered this from his days of training with Hiruzen. He's done this test many times, obviously with just him versus Hiruzen, just him getting like 1 bell. But he knew the purpose of the test, to work together, even though he couldn't really do that back then since it was only him. I guess in some way he could work together with his sword, but he already does that technically. So basically, he would start to his mind start working, and he would see like Kakashi's purposely trying to make them separate. He's dividing them, or at least trying to, only giving them 2 bells, making it so one person would have to go back to the academy. This would obviously be a great diversion to divide themselves and start fighting amongst each other. But Naruto's been through a lot. He's not gonna like fall to this common trick. He would then say, "All right, bring what you can, Hatake Kakashi." Before he would then, give his smile, which, Naruto would, release a spiritual pressure onto Kakashi, and Kakashi would kind of release his own chakra into that of an aura, as, he and, Naruto would start looking at each other, but their auras wouldn't show, or their spiritual pressure / chakra wouldn't show. It's kind of like just an eye thing. Now, they would then all of a sudden just start, like, look away, and when Kakashi would then take out the bells and say start. Now, Naruto would then grab the shoulders of both his teammates and flash step into the forest, very far away, maybe about a mile back, since he needed to get as far away as possible from Kakashi. Now, he pretty much guessed that Kakashi would come after Sakura first, probably put her under a weak genjutsu, since she didn't really learn how to get out of that yet from him, since they didn't really start training in that field yet. He'd probably assume that he'd go after Sasuke. Sasuke would try to, use his basic knowledge, but Kakashi would obviously outsmart him and beat him, which then it would be left to him. So he would start to explain their plan. He would start to explain that Sakura can, make it look like it's just her throwing it, and Kakashi would lower his guard, thinking he's only fighting Sakura. So of course he's just gonna hold back. Then out of nowhere, Sasuke would come in. Sasuke would, throw with the fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu, all those fire style jutsu, and then Naruto, Kakashi would unload, like, hold back a little less, and then Naruto would come in, and he would be put off guard, and Naruto would completely yeet the bells before throwing them to Naruto and Sakura. Sakura would then say, "But if you don't get a bell, wouldn't you go back to the academy?" Naruto would say, "Number one, if that was actually a thing, I can obviously easily graduate. I can just take the Jonin test or something, or maybe the Anbu test, and I can easily be, graduate into that of a Jonin. This Genin test is nothing. It's an illusion. Like Kakashi wants us to fight amongst each other, so we all go back to the academy. Think about that. If me myself just go back to the academy, you guys can get stronger. I can still train you guys, but if we all lose, then we're all going back. That doesn't really make sense, right? Does it? So Sakura, kind of realized Naruto's logic before she would agree, and pretty much Sakura, will start the fight. Sakura would come out the leaves or the tree, and he would start throwing kunais and shurikens, duplicating them using the kunai shadow clone jutsu and the shuriken shadow clone jutsu. Now, pretty much now we're gonna go into Sasuke coming in. So Sasuke comes in, uses an enemy fire style technique to combine with the kunai shuriken that Sakura basically threw already to enhance it. So Kakashi would start to back up before he would use an earth style mud wall. Now Naruto would feel Kakashi would feel a tap on his shoulder before Sasuke would be there. Basically that first Sasuke that came out was a shadow clone, and he would be there and he would punch Kakashi into his own wall. Oh, I just butchered there, but he would punch Kakashi into his own wall as his head would kind of wobble back left to right, kind of like how Obito did to him, like when he kind of completely destroyed him. Then Naruto would then come out, he would go on the other side of the wall, and he would then stab through the wall, and he would stab basically Kakashi. Kakashi would be falling back on his back, and Naruto would stab through it, kind of almost crucifying him. This is some mad disrespect coming out onto Kakashi. He would stab Naruto. Naruto would stab Kakashi through the stomach, and at some moment Kakashi would kind of be limbo in the air as the stomach as the sword would be impaling through his intestines. It would be pretty gruesome. His whole sword would be covered in blood, kind of Unohana's Bankai. Since if you take your whole intestine, you can literally cover the earth in it. It's just so long. No homo, obviously. I mean, unless you're a homie. No, I'm just kidding. No. Pretty much, Kakashi would then realize what's happening as Sakura would come out from underground, since she has an earth and water affinity, so she can use the headhunter jutsu. As she would come from underground, and she would then, grab the bells and she would, "Thanks, Kakashi Sensei. I can't believe you're that generous to give us the bells." As he'd be like, "Damn you!" You would say, comically, as they would then, grab all the bells. Now Naruto, kind of pulling insults, Andrew would grab the tip of his blade, the sharp side, and rip it out. So his handle would literally go through his stomach. That would have been painful. Then Kakashi would then kind of be on the floor, rolling over in pain, as Naruto would then stop him with on his foot, as he would look down and just tap it, kind of stab it in a sense, as it would, the wound would start to heal and the clothes would have repaired as well. So Naruto would have used his advanced his advanced Kaido. I think it's called Kaido. Not actually the enemy from One Piece. Kaido is the technique of putting Kido and healing into one, making Kaido. I think that's what it's called. Now, pretty much Naruto would have used this and pretty much brought Kakashi back to life. Pretty much, Kakashi almost died from that. He almost met his dad. Never mind. I don't want to, make jokes here now. So, Team 7 would have won the belt test, and we'll do a time skip for about 1 month. Now, in this time skip, they'll be doing a huge training arc of just D-rank missions, and after that, they spend the whole morning doing D-rank missions, and the rest of the day is just grueling, terrifying training. The D-rank missions would be like a break for them. They would get trained so hard, when they go, they would use the D-rank mission as a way to basically recover from the night's training. So they would train from, they would wake up 6 a.m., do D-rank missions until 12, eat lunch, take an hour break, before they would then start training from 1 o'clock all the way to about maybe 10 p.m. They would then go to sleep, then wake up, and then at 6 a.m., and pretty much that would be a whole cycle for about 1 month. So Sakura, she would get extremely strong. She would master earth and water. She would then use, master her chakra infused fist, learning how to use chakra to infuse her attacks. that Sasuke would have attained his 2 Tomoe, almost 3 Tomoe Sharingan, since I mean, it's very easy for him. Naruto has medical ninjutsu, could probably trick the Sharingan into awakening, maybe. Just a theory though. Then, or you can use Ryatsu as a way to almost implicate a Genjutsu, and then that would forcibly awaken the Sharingan, since the 2 Tomoe is needed from trauma. And Naruto's smile is already a trauma. I'm not trying to make any jokes here though. It's actually a trauma. Now, pretty much what would happen next is Team 7 would be called in the next morning, and they're expected just to start doing D rank missions and stuff at about 8 a.m. No, once they would get there, Kakashi would say, I think they're about done with all these D rank missions. How many did we do so far? He was gonna get a huge like a ceiling scroll, and he would start to go down all the missions that that Team 7 did, all the D rank missions, and so far he would start looking down and he'd say, so far you guys did 756 D rank missions in only 1 month. I think you guys shattered the record. My old team did about 669. I almost said 666. So close, man, so close. But he would congratulate them on 1-1 beating the record. They would have made quite the money from doing all these D rank missions. You probably got around $100 from each D rank mission. So that money, let's just say they invested it in some Konoha Bitcoin. Nah, I'm just kidding. Now, pretty much Hiruzen would say guys, you guys have been doing D rank missions, right, for a while. You even beat the record. Kakashi, are they quite strong? I heard they beat you. And you're like the second strongest Jonin in the whole village, behind the Anbu and the guy. And pretty much Kakashi would say, yeah, they beat me, and every one of them has definitely grown tremendously from that day. So if they managed to beat me and then go tremendously from there, with Sasuke attaining the 2 Tomoe, Sakura mastering her elements, almost getting to manipulation, while Naruto has yet again just him from the academy, he could probably get Jonin, but now he's probably maybe low Kage level. After this, Hiruzen would say, I think it's time for, let's say, an A-rank mission. Now, this time, you guys are wondering, what do you mean A-rank mission? Now, let's say this time Tazuna gathered up all the citizens and they gathered money for about 2 years. So this would be enough money for a A-rank mission. So this time, he wouldn't be lying to them. He would tell them about an A-rank mission, and pretty much what would happen is, I'm trying to implement something. I literally just came up with this 2 seconds ago. I'm going to have Team 7 and Team 10 do a joint mission on this. So like Team 10, like Shikamaru, Chojin, this would be good collaboration. Like Shikamaru and Naruto, they have pretty, compatible personalities. And they, Team 10 and Team 7, they both like barbecue. They didn't really, Naruto still likes ramen, but like, they all like barbecue for some reason. I mean, I like barbecue. Like, who doesn't like a nice steak? Man, I don't want to get into that because I'm just going to make myself hungry now. Now, pretty much Asuma and Team 10 would walk in and say, oh, so Kakashi, we're the team that we're, doing a joint mission on. And pretty much Kakashi, Asuma, they're childhood friends, and all the teams are childhood friends. So this should be a pretty good collaboration. So Hiruzen would say, I knew, putting you guys together would be such a great addition. Before, he would start to, throw them like duplicates of this mission scroll. Basically you'd make one mission scroll, then write it onto another, making 2 scrolls. You would then throw them to the team leaders, Kakashi and Asuma, and they would start to review the mission, and then they would, start to pack their stuff. So about 10 a.m., they were seen, running out the village. So they would run it at a pretty fast space. Like, they would probably get there in about 2 hours. And all the kids were quite, I guess, excited. Shikamaru didn't really show it. And Ino was, like, kind of, shaking in her pants. I mean, don't. Damn. I didn't want this to be perceived as sexual. No, but also Choji was doing the same thing. So, yeah. Don't think like that, please. It's November. It's time to get healthy and all. Now, pretty much what would happen is, they would all be excited. They'd be running through, but most of them missed a detail, small little detail. So Shikamaru, Asuma, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, they all picked something up. They noticed that there was a puddle in the grueling heat of, July. How is that even possible? Even though the calendar of our months wasn't made until Julius Caesar. So they didn't really know. I'm just telling you for you guys. It's July. It's a hot day. The sun is out. It's been, very sunny since sunrise. And they're wondering, why is there a puddle? Has it rained in weeks? they check the forecast. BBC is a very good news station, of course, obviously, and also ABC 27, best news station ever. CNN got nothing on them. No, I'm just kidding. So pretty much they would obviously be suspicious of the puddle, as Naruto would throw up a few Anbu hand signs, as Asuma and Kakashi would realize. Asuma from studying from his father, and Kakashi being in the Anbu. So they would other Sasuke and Sakura, they would notice this. They also studied hand signs of the ninja, I guess, and they would just try to be calm, as they would practically act stupid. Now pretty much Asuma and Kakashi would be kind of next to each other, and the demon brothers of the mist would start to appear from the puddle as the puddle would start to evaporate into nothing. The demon brothers would have their chains, and they would try to go they would try to interlock attack Asuma and Kakashi by choking them to death with their chain. But this would actually work. But they would then kind of crush their bodies in a sense with crush Kakashi and Asuma's bodies into sludge, I guess, their body parts. And pretty much not Kakashi, but the other team members, except Naruto, Team 7, Shikamaru, they would be like, oh my god, Asuma and Kakashi sensei are dead. And then Naruto would then quickly unsheath his sword. He would then infuse it Ryatsu into it before swinging it. Now this would kind of cause a red beam a red beam wave to escape from his sword, kind of like that of a Getsuga, but just his Ryatsu. How Ichigo, he just swiped his sword and he pretty much Genjo thought that was a Getsuga. It's kind of like that, but it was red. Since I know spiritual pressure, they're usually yellow, but that's just Naruto's output. His sword handle is red. It kind of makes sense. His sword becomes red. The handle, the sharp part becomes red when he uses his Bankai because it's poisonous. But Naruto then kind of uses, swing his blade and add pressure to it, as the demon brothers almost see a wave of just death coming towards them. So this would obviously do one thing: death, as it would be split in half, similar to that of Ichigo splitting Yuha in half. Now after this, she would then walk up to them, revive them before then putting both of their hands against the tree, choking them against the tree, as you would start to interrogate them, constantly killing them and bringing them to life, almost cruelly, almost gruesomely. I had to pick some random word. I'm just thinking on the spot here. I have no script, so anything you see here, it's either up to me or Yami. Yami be giving me some ideas, not gonna lie. So pretty much what would happen next is Naruto would start to interrogate them, getting some useful information about Gato hiring Zabuza Momochi, and his support Haku, who is just the strongest and maybe even stronger, and he knows what the threats are coming. So they wouldn't actually have to worry about Tazuna lied, but from the start it was an A-rank mission. So Naruto would then say, you can come out now, Kakashi, as then he would slit the throats of the demon brothers, this time not bringing them back to life. He would then pretty much use Hollow number 54 Hien for destroying their bodies into ashes, and kind of gifting the earth with their dirty ashes, with hopefully it'll be protein for them. Now that's kind of harsh though, not gonna lie. Yeah, I kind of feel bad now. My bad. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm actually not kidding. That kind of feels bad. Imagine being turned into ashes and then used as the earth's resources. It's that's what everyone does though. Yeah. Alright, let's get back into it. Now, Team 7 and Team 10, they would head over to the Land of the Waves, and once they would get there, they would meet up with this one of the the associates of Tazuna, and they would he would gracefully offer them if he could take them on the boat ride across to the Land of Waves, which they would obviously accept. It would have been not too much of a big boat. It would have been the One Piece's the first boat, before I can't remember the first boat's name, the one Usopp and Luffy had a fight over before they had a new one, but I can't actually remember. But it would have been the first boat of Luffy. It would have been the small boat, and they would have gotten in, and it would have been the size of a dinghy, I think it's called. Yeah. So they would sit down, and then they would pretty much be in the boat and all, and they would for the next 30 minutes they would go across the shore. They would start to look at the beautiful sights. As once they would get off, they would notice that that beautiful sight suddenly became purified with, not purified, but suddenly became saturated with nothing but mist. And the man would say, this isn't normal. Usually it'd be less foggy, but now it's almost as if someone used the hidden mist jutsu. Now, pretty much Kakashi and everyone else would be on guard as a sword would start flying through. Now Naruto would commonly output his Ryatsu, and he would unsheath his sword as he would slice right through the sword. The sword would then break off and kind of come back together, but not like back together physically, but it would come back like nearly before they would then lodge itself into the tree. Now Zabuza would then land on the tree as he would say, impressive, you managed to slice the executioner's blade in half with no difficulty whatsoever. I should probably get rid of you first instead of Kakashi Hatake and Asuma Sarutobi. Now Zabuza would immediately go into like kill mode, kill this stupid Unohana's reincarnation guy, and he would start to try to kill Naruto. He would be swinging his broken piece of the blade off, and Naruto would say, you're disrespectful. How dare you swing a broken blade at me like that? He would then dodge the sword easily and then split this guy's head off. Like, he would swing, and then he would swing once, unsheath his blade in a few seconds, and Zabuza's head would just pop off. He says, you would then look towards Zabuza and say, don't you dare ever unsheath that broken sword to me again, or next time it won't just be your head, it'll be the rest of your tiny little useless body parts. He would then feel a presence coming behind him as Haku would then try to use her ice, kind of like her ice mirror jutsu, to then amp her speeds up. So Naruto would just briefly flash up behind her and say slow, before then snapping her neck. He would then put her hand on the shoulder before then moving the head the other way, and it would just snap off the hinges of her shoulders. That's kind of gruesome though. Hopefully I don't get demonetized, even though I'm not really interested in making money off YouTube though. But basically he would kill Haku and Zabuza. Now after this, he would say, so this was all the resistance? Just a bunch of S-rank ninjas? He would then pretty much put Zabuza's head into a scroll with the rest of his body. Same with Haku. He wants to collect the bounty of them. It's good money. Zabuza had about maybe $100 million bounty on him. Like, the currency when it comes to dollars in Naruto verse is very high. Like people like the Akatsuki, they have billions of dollars. I mean, from missions, of course. So they would then recuperate at Tazuna's house, and they would build a bridge. They would have no resistance. When Gatsu's men came, they would just immediately, they would not even look at them, and Naruto's presence alone just killed them. They drowned in their own spit from how scared they were. Now Naruto and everyone else would help build the bridge, especially with Naruto's Kido. Like, as you saw from Hachi, you can build stuff. So with this, he would be able to help build the bridge, reinforce it, so nobody can ever destroy it. So this is, the Land of the Waves were very graceful, and pretty much what happened is the land of the Waves literally joined back with the Konoha, specifically Konoha, not any other village nation. So Konoha and the Land of Waves built a alliance, and Konoha agreed that they would help rebuild the Land of Waves back to its original state, even better than it was. Hopefully it can become a great village nation. Now pretty much Naruto would kind of be the representative, since they were really grateful to Naruto. They even named the bridge after Naruto. So Naruto would become sort of like a war hero at that point, even though it wasn't that much of a war at that point. It was just a war between ninjas and a corporation. So Naruto would then be put in the bingo book for a S-rank criminal, or not criminal, S-rank ninja. Now pretty much after all these events take place, all the Team 7, they go back to the Leaf Village, and Naruto is called up to the Hokage's office with the rest of the team and Team 10, and they would debrief Hiruzen on what happened, and pretty much Hiruzen would say, I'm very proud of you guys. I'm just gonna give you a tip. The Chunin exams is happening in about 3 weeks to a month. I want to give you guys time to get ready and train for it, since I know you guys are gonna do very well on it. You guys will probably be specifically Team 7 will be the representatives of Konoha when it comes to the ninjas participating in the Chunin exams. So everyone will be quite excited. They'll finally get a chance at being promoted. And they just started a few months back, like 1 month ago, and now they're already having a chance at being promoted at Chunin, maybe even joining Naruto, I think. Now, after Naruto would get home, he would then rest for the rest of the day, as he also went down to the the welder, where he basically deposited the bounties for information. Now, if you're wondering whose information we're talking about here, we're talking about certain, rogue ninja named Itachi Uchiha. After this, the man would say, "Oh yeah, I've heard some rumors that he joined the Akatsuki, and their goal is to take all the tail beast." Now, they don't know that, number one, they don't know that the Nine Tails doesn't exist. They assume it's in Naruto. So yeah, they're still gonna come after Naruto. Now, after this, Naruto would say, "Good." So I mean, in his head, he would think, "I can lure Itachi here. Maybe Sasuke can, get his justice he wants so badly." Now, after this, he would walk after, waving to the man. Now, once Naruto would get home, or he would get kind of put on his regular clothes, his civilian clothes, before he would walk over to the Uchiha compound. He would then carry a scroll, and he would knock on the door, as he would then walk in, act all friendly, and he would, be welcomed by, Sasuke. Sasuke would then brew some tea. She would give some tea to Naruto, and Naruto would then reach into his pocket and hand him a scroll. He says, "Well, with the bounty from Zabuza and Haku, I managed to get some information, some extra money. I don't mind splitting it with you." So he would then, give Sasuke a bit of that money, which was kind of a lot, since Sasuke would obviously thank him, of course. And Sasuke would, slowly but surely open the scroll. He would then start to read, and he would see like the picture of Itachi with a bounty on him, a double S rank, and you would see that Itachi has joined an organization of S rank criminals, S rank plus criminals, and their goal is to basically take all the tailed beasts. Sasuke would be like, "Is this the rumor I've heard about? Specifically, like, for example, the Nine Tails attack. Is the Nine Tails like the strongest of them?" Naruto would start to explain to them. So the first, from the Sage of Six Paths, there was once a 10 Tails. Now, the Sage of Six Paths, after fighting his mother Kaguya Otsutsuki with the help of his brother, the ancestor of the Hyuga clan, they sealed Kaguya, their mother, into the moon. That's how the moon is there. And pretty much Hagoromo split all the 10 Tails into 9 entities, that being the tail beasts. He would then say Shukaku, Matatabi, Isubu, Son Goku, Koku, Saiki, what's the 7-tailed name? I can't remember. I don't remember its name, but it'd be Gyuki, then it'd be Kurama. If you guys actually know the 7-tails name, tell me that in the comments. That'd be like your second quiz question in a sense. Now, pretty much Sasuke would be like, "Wow, that's interesting." And Naruto would say, "Yeah." So what they want to do is they want to recreate the 10 Tails. They want to bring it back, hopefully bring back Kaguya, but they're delusional at that point. They for example, they think that it's some infinite genjutsu where they have all their desires, but the thing is, all they're doing is, turning everyone into, zetsus. And he would explain what zetsus are, and like entities created by Kaguya, and they're like zombies. And pretty much Sasuke would be like, "So what are we gonna do to stop these people?" Number one, Naruto would say, "If you kill Itachi, you kill one of the best members in the Akatsuki. That's like pegging them down a step. Me and you, and hopefully Sakura, will be able to take down the whole Akatsuki, group. And soon after them, there'll be other threats like that. That's just the natural course of life. But soon, we'll start with our first group takedown, and soon, in a few years, we'll focus on the other groups that might come." Obviously, referencing to Kara, which we're not actually going to go over. We're all going to know Naruto's going to slap Kara on their backs. Now, pretty much, Naruto would then, say, "Just think about this, alright? I'll leave you to your thoughts." As Naruto would leave, and the next few weeks, Team 7 would be training, anything they can. Sakura obviously improving on her already learned techniques. Naruto greatly improving on his Kido, almost becoming like a master in Kido. Then the next thing we'll talk about is Naruto's healing. He can literally revive someone from the dead, constantly revive them, just like he did to Kenpachi, also attaining his Bankai. Now, pretty much he's not really gonna use it much unless he's like fighting one of the Akatsuki members. But we'll go to the time of the tuning exams. They don't really bump into Team Gaara though. Now we'll go to the day of the tuning exams when they would wake up and head over to the academy where the group would start. So once they would get there, they would kind of meet Kakashi. Kakashi would give them a few words of motivation before they would all walk in, all motivated to then beat everyone, and hopefully they can win. Now they don't actually know that soon they might actually fight each other, but that's kind of a rare chance though. So they would then walk in and they would see two gate guards blocking someone from going upstairs. Now, pretty much they would then Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura would hold onto Naruto's shoulders as they would flash up right behind the guards like into the stairs, and they would go upstairs into the door as they would notice there's a Genjutsu blocking the door and the door number and all. So they would walk in and they would see other people who had also made it past, and they would sit down. Now I don't really particularly like going over the quizzes or giving you any questions. So let's just say Naruto passes, Sakura and Sasuke also pass as well. So pretty much all the other people, they would cheat the same way, and any other people who passed would cheat the same way. Ibiki would announce that there was a 10th question. Some of the people would there would just be less people that that are there, since Naruto didn't give their motivational speech, which would cause other people to stay. So Naruto would have stayed silent, and more people would have left due to their disencouragement from Ibiki's psychology test. Now pretty much Ibiki would announce that there's no 10th question and you guys pass. He would then start kind of congratulating them, telling them the point of the test, saying that it doesn't matter. You might go on an S rank mission, but why would you? The point of being a tuning, you're supposed to go. You're not supposed to wimp out. You have to go on any mission. That's just the point. You're serving your village. So everyone would kind of get they would learn a new lesson from a senior officer of the village heading in the leave. So they'd be quite respected, or they would feel some respect towards Ibiki. So pretty much Anko would come in after realizing Ibiki sitting there impatiently just staring at the students. So after she would finish up her dango, she would jump through the window and start saying hey to everyone. Now pretty much what happened is she would start to wave at everyone, start to introduce herself as pretty much she would start to tell everyone, meet me at Training Ground 44, aka the Forest of Death. Now all the other students, they would kind of get a chill down their spine. All the other foreign students from different villages start to get chill down their spine as Naruto, Team 7, they would all be calm. They're very collected. They can do this. Now they would head over to the training ground, and once they would get there, Anko would be there with papers in her hand. Now Anko would explain to them that this was the Forest of Death. A bunch of wild animals are here, and if you go there, you have the chance of dying, which is why I have these. As she would lift up the papers, she would explain that these are forms, so if you die in here, it won't be our fault. It'll be your fault because you signed the form. So, good luck. She didn't use a weird jutsu as all the papers would appear in their hands, and Naruto would be like, Sasuke, can I use your back to write, since later they have no what they're called. They have no board, so it would be hard to write. So they would use each other to help write each other. So they would put papers on their back, and they would start to write. Use it to write, and they would sign all the forms, and they would hand it over to Anko. Anko wouldn't throw a kunai at Naruto or something like that, or Orochimaru wouldn't give the kunai back to Anko. Nothing like that would happen. So Anko would say start, as Naruto would then obviously during this would talk to all of the teams, and he would have been friendly on purpose, of course. He would know all the weak teams who had the opposite scroll. They had the Earth scroll, they needed the Heaven scroll. So he saw a team from the Rain Village. They were pretty weak. It wasn't the Rain Village that could camouflage or anything. I can't actually remember their jutsu, but it wasn't them. It was a little, not even getting a level. So they would have as soon as she said start, Naruto then flashed up behind them, as Naruto would land on top of them and pretty much throw his fist back, as he would kind of do pretty much jump on top of him and knock him out with his good old hands. Now Sasuke, as the teammates turn around, they would start to get into battle, as Sasuke would come from his sides, as they would drop kick the other two teammates of that Rain Village team. Now, Naruto would go through the main person's pouch as he would, get the scroll, and they would tell him to quickly go. Now, the reason Naruto was like quickly, going fast and all is he sensed Orochimaru. Number one, he is Kage level. He can fight Orochimaru, he can beat him. But number one, he doesn't want to risk the lives of his teammates. He doesn't know if they can even hold their own. Orochimaru might, put the curse mark on Sasuke. Since Naruto has studied a lot about other organizations or any aspiring criminals, how do you think he knows that guy at the welder shop? He knows his the Konoha itself. He knows what's going on and how is it running. It's not just like the usual village that everyone knows and loves. There's some hidden organization behind it, or a hidden power controlling it. So Naruto knows this and knows how to use it to his advantage. That's just how capitalism works in general. You know the system is corrupted, but you use it to your advantage. So you're like no better than them. But I'm not gonna go on a tangent here. So Naruto would flash step them to the tower, and they would like open the scroll at the same time as Kakashi would appear. Now, pretty much once Kakashi would appear, he would congratulate them on passing, and he would say that was quite quick. I mean, I know Naruto, you're strong, but like that took like 5 minutes. Like that's pretty cool. You're the fastest team so far. Now, pretty much, they would walk in and they would hand over the scrolls to Kakashi, like roll them back, and they would start to walk in and they would look around. They would see like there's whole like a cafeteria. There's like the rooms made out of like almost like seki stone from Bleach, but like it doesn't like resist Ryatsu or anything like that. But it just had a similar style to it. Then they would see where they're sleeping and all, and pretty much they would sleep for the night. Now the next day, they would wake up, and all the other teams would have, half of them when it came, and they would all the Anbu would have went out, and they would realize who's dead and who's not, and they would have did they count and realize, those half people they would have passed. So pretty much they would start the tuning part, not the tuning, but like the second portion of the Chunin exams. Hiruzen would be there, and he would start to announce to everyone what the battles, Naruto versus Kiba, Sasuke versus Yoroi, Sakura versus Ino, Gaara versus Rock Lee, and Shikamaru versus Kin, Dosu versus Choji, and there's one more fight. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. Pretty much all the placements that are happening in the canonical timeline. Now, pretty much what would happen next is pretty much Sasuke versus Yoroi would happen. Sasuke would slap Yoroi onto his back. The chakra absorption thing doesn't work anymore, since number one, like, you have to avoid it. Like, Sasuke still has his Sharingan. He has a way more evolved version of the Sharingan. He has more chakra levels. He can avoid and easily speed blitz Yoroi. So Yoroi only got hacks. Now pretty much Sakura would fight Ino. That fight would go tremendously different. So once the fight would start, Ino would constantly be trying to put Sakura into her cleanse jutsu, but every time Sakura would then put up a mud wall, and pretty much in this moment between her, just sitting behind the mud wall, she would go on there and make a mud clone, and then the mud clone would be there, and she would try to, would successfully, quote unquote, put it into her mind transfer jutsu, but she would realize it reflected back to her, and she just had nothing happen. So she realized that's a clone, and as soon as she turned around, there'd be a fist waiting, and she would, kind of sounded sus. Now, pretty much, Sakura's fist would already be there. She would pretty much, use her Shanaro punch. I think it's called Shanaro, but she's like Cha. I can't really, I'm not gonna say that, but you know what I mean. As she would use her punch, and she would use her, exclamation. I think it's exclamation, yeah. And she'd pretty much, knock out. Now, pretty much after that fight, Sakura would be declared a winner. Naruto versus Kiba. Now, Kiba would run down, acting all cocky and shit, until he realized he's fighting Naruto. This guy's shaking in his feet. He's like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose. It's Naruto. Every time in the academy, somebody even looked at him. All he did was smile and stuff, and they literally shit their pants. So right when they literally got to the arena, Naruto would smile at him, saying, I hope you have a good fight, even though you're fighting me, so good luck. Kiba would then start shaking as Akamaru would jump from his head and start running away. He's running away to the sidelines as Akamaru would start doing his howls in fear. Naruto would then say, okay. I guess it's you're solo. He would like kind of make a joke there, as Kiba would say, "Hey Proctor, I concede." As the Proctor would be surprised, he didn't even start to fight, and yet he's already conceding, or like, forfeiting. The Proctor would like shakingly put his hand up in disbelief, as he would then call the fight, saying that Naruto Uzumaki wins, as Kiba Inuzuka conceded. Now, Kiba's mom would be sitting there and be like, "Damn, I'm surprised, Kiba got over his pride and conceded." Now, all the other Jonin team leaders would be there, and they would be confused on what, what's her mom's name? I don't remember, but he would ask what she meant. Now, I think her name. No, that's Sume. Sume would explain to them that Naruto has exerted almost like a pressure onto Kiba, pretty much like that of death. Now, only Inuzuka can really smell this, and for some reason, Akamaru smelled this, and Kiba smelled this, which caused Kiba to like run around and act scared and all, acting like a dog. Now, after this, all the team leaders would be surprised at what Naruto's doing and the tactics he used to even win. So pretty much this fight would be called, and I'm just gonna go right through the second stage, and also I'm gonna go through the 1 month time skip, since Naruto doesn't need anyone to train. He basically is training people. He trains Naruto and he trains Sasuke and Sakura on what they do. Sakura would obviously start to get into the major healing, and she would learn a certain technique. She would kind of learn like 100 healings, but like she would just call it like a high speed regeneration in a sense, but it was still an amper, so she would still call it high speed regeneration, but it amped her techniques by tenfold. It was like Bankai. Sasuke would learn the Chidori, attending that of the 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Naruto would have mastered his Bankai, learning everything else, just mastering everything else. So you just would have became a better version of Unohana at that point. No. So pretty much we'll start the final stage of the Chunin exams. I know that's kind of far-fetched and all. So Sakura will be fighting Dosu, and for some reason Dosu doesn't appear. We all know it's just because he was killed. Now that Sakura would automatically be sent forward. I'm just saying this doesn't happen exactly, but the first fight would obviously be Naruto versus Neji. Now Naruto didn't particularly like Neji. He basically kind of did Hinata dirty. Number one, I mean, he doesn't really know Hinata like that, but like he just doesn't like it. Number one, as you know, for Sasuke's goal, he doesn't like when family members try to kill each other, just in general. That's also what Rogue does. I mean, Rogue's like a big family guy in general, but basically Naruto kind of took on that ideal, and he didn't like what Neji did at the second stage of the Chunin exams. So pretty much what would happen is he would go a little more hard on him, not gonna lie, don't even think like that, but he would actually go try hard. So pretty much he would jump in the arena, and he would then once the fight would start, he would go Bankai. His blade would start to extend a little bit as blood would start to cover the whole blade, or poison technically, say Minazuki. As Naruto would then flash up behind him, slash part of Neji's arm. This would cause like a small cut on it, and he would then flash step, as for some reason, slowly but surely, pretty much what would happen is Neji's arm would start to disintegrate into that of just bone. After this, all the other the spectators start to look away in disbelief, and Neji would be scared, so he would get a kunai and he would cut off his arm, just to stop the poison. As Naruto would say, "That doesn't work like that. The poison's in your blood already." As Neji would say, I concede. As pretty much Naruto would say, "Good." As he would grab like Neji's shoulder, like what's left of it, and he would then regenerate it. As slowly but obviously surely, his arm would start to regenerate, and the clothes that were there would also regenerate. So people in the stands were thinking, did he reject the events, or did he regenerate even that? That's fascinating, but also scary at the same time. Now, pretty much Naruto would be declared the winner, and it will go over to the Sasuke versus Gaara fight. This fight would literally go exactly the same, but Sasuke's Chidori would be way stronger, and Sasuke would have slapped Gaara until Gaara transformed into that of a perfect tail beast. He would have done the transformation literally right there. So Naruto and everyone else would be transformed into wartime mode, as the Genjutsu would be casted on all the civilians, and yeah, pretty much what would happen is yeah, the Konoha Crush would start. Orochimaru would fight Hiruzen. That thing would go exactly the same. Naruto would then jump down in the arena as he would unsheath his blade, and he would look at like Shikaku. They would then like go outside the village, where the same place they were in canon. Naruto and Sasuke right next to each other. As Naruto would use his Shikai to make the monster, like the monster that Unohana has as a Shikai, and that would start getting in the air. Now Sasuke would be like, what are we gonna do to defeat this? I don't really have that much of a big technique. Now after this, he would say, use the biggest fireball jutsu you can. I'll try to assist you. As Sasuke would then take a few deep breaths, circulating putting more chakra into his networks. As he would then infuse more chakra into his fire, as he would say, fire style. He would then put up the hand style, and he would say, majestic destroyer flame. As a huge, maybe like a mile wide of fire would just come out. People from like the Hokage would look away from existence. Like everyone else fighting there, look away and see this huge, pile of flames, and they can see like Sasuke was producing this, and they would see, Sasuke is like burning Shikaku. Naruto would say, good. Naruto would then use Hado number 54, almost surrounding the flame, as it would enhance the flame, and it would pretty much start to burn Shikaku. So pretty much what would happen, Naruto would then say, he would pretty much go through the incantations of Hado number 90. He would then say, Hado no Kyuju, Goryu. No, Kuro Hitsugi. I almost said Goryu Tenmetsu, and that was so close. But he would have said Kuro Hitsugi, as a purple box or cube would start to form around Shikaku, as he would be shocked at what's happening to him. Naruto would then say Kuro Hitsugi, as the box would close, and arrows upon arrows would start to form inside the box, and scraping metal will be heard as once the box would open, you would see Shikaku is cut into tiny little pieces of sand. Too much damage for his high speed regeneration to factor in. So he would disappear after being desummoned, and Naruto would walk up to Gaara. He would then start to kind of give him the life talk about, I feel how you're feeling. I remember I used to kick the villagers' ass when I was a kid, but you know what helped me? It helps, being trained by Hiruzen. It gave me a new focus. How about, we could probably try the same thing with you, right? After this, Gaara would have a new realization in his eyes. This was the only person who could actually treat him like, his equal, or maybe even superior. So he would then accept Naruto to give him a hand, and Gaara would accept it with like a smile. Now we go back to Hiruzen. Hiruzen would have then activated the Shikafuji technique, and he would go to basically seal Orochimaru and the other Hokages via using like shadow clones to help seal them all the way. So pretty much he would look towards Orochimaru before then tasking the Shinigami to then grab its stomach, or his arm. So it would start to grab Orochimaru, and Orochimaru, with the lucky by the skin of his teeth, he could manage to still have control of his fingers, as he would call the Kusanagi blade back, and it would stab right through Hiruzen, just like in canon. So I don't actually want to save Hiruzen. Number one, if I didn't save him, Tsunade would still be there. There would be no change, really. I might as well just have Hiruzen die with honor. So pretty much Hiruzen would then continue the technique and seal Naruto's arms. I mean, not Naruto, my bad. Orochimaru's arms away, basically making it so he cannot use any jutsu whatsoever. Then after that, Orochimaru would then kind of be weakened, and he would need the Sound 4 would reverse summon him back to the lair, his lair. Now after the Konoha Crush and all, there would be a funeral placed, and pretty much Gaara and the Sand Village would kind of form an alliance, or not an alliance, but like, hey, we're not going to come after you. We were simply manipulated by Orochimaru, so it was kind of like a neutral thing. So pretty much after a few days, Naruto would be in his apartment when someone would knock on the door. This would be none other than Jiraiya of the Sannin, and pretty much Jiraiya would say, hey, I've been tasked by the council to go bring back Tsunade Senju to be 5th Hokage, and they recommended that I bring you along. So You okay with that? Naruto would say, yes, of course, Jiraiya, I've heard stories about you. The great Sonic. After his Naruto in his head, Jiraiya in his head would be like, oh, so he's just like Minato. And pretty much he would say, yeah. Do you have anyone you'd like to bring on, teach him something or have me teach me something? I am the best Sonic ever. You would then kind of do like a comedic moment there. And Naruto would say, you heard of Sasuke Uchiha, right? The sole survivor of the Uchiha massacre. Jiraiya would say, yeah, I heard of him. What about him? Well, Naruto would continue to explain, oh, I've been training him, and he has some great potential, already having his 3 Tomoe Sharingan at such a young age. And I was thinking I should bring him along, give us some experience time around the village, even though, because we've only been on one mission. And, I wanted to give him some free time for the village. Hiruzen died and all. He kind of needs some time to think and all. And all the berating from everyone in general. So, Jiraiya would be like, yeah, that's fine with me. So, just tell him we'll meet him by the village gates in about an hour from now, right? Naruto would say, alright, see you then. Naruto would then, close the door as he would start to get ready for the mission. Now, he would then, after packing up, he would then go over to Sasuke's house with like maybe 30 minutes left. He would then tell, Sasuke to pack up, and Sasuke would be confused on what they were doing. So, he would inform Sasuke that they're leaving the village to go on a mission to retrieve the 5th Hokage, or the future 5th Hokage. Sasuke would be like, oh, that's so cool, He would start to pack up his stuff, and he would start to, they would start the journey. Now, about an hour, and they would head to that same town in the hotel, where Jiraiya would kind of tell them, to wait, as he's gonna go get some research. Naruto would kind of do a palm face motion, as he would realize that Jiraiya, man, he's not passing that No Nut November. Nah, I'm just kidding. So Jiraiya would go get some research for his new book. He writes a perverted book, let's just say that, definitely 18 plus. And Sasuke and Naruto would be there. Now Naruto would say, Sasuke, don't say anything, don't even move. I sent somebody coming to our exact door, and let's just say they happen to have that same chakra of the Uchiha, about 17 years old, about 5'11". That's you know what I'm talking about. Naruto, Sasuke would jump up, and Naruto would say, I told you, don't move. They're gonna sense movement in here, and they're gonna be ready, so just act calm. So Sasuke would sit back down, and they would wait for the knocking of the door, and Naruto would say, just stay behind me, and I'll let you get a few punches in, alright? So Sasuke would get behind him, as Naruto would then use Hado number 31 Shaka Ho, as a huge red ball would form out of his hand. He didn't actually say it out loud, since then that means that would alert Itachi and Kisame that were behind on the other side of the door. Now, pretty much the attack would go right through, and this would hit Kisame, as Itachi's Sharingan saved him in time, as it would have activated on instinct, as he would then dodge, pretty much forming his Susanoo cage, as the Susanoo would withstand the attack. Now after he would quickly put it away, since he has a limited time on his Mangekyo. Now pretty much when the smoke would clear, Naruto would have his sword unsheathed and pretty much in the stance, almost like that of like Yamamoto's stance when it's the sword. So pretty much Naruto would unsheath his sword, looking towards Kisame, telling Sasuke, you can go and fight him. No, Sasuke would activate his Sharingan, that of the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, and Itachi would be quite surprised at Sasuke's progression. He would look towards Naruto with the quick time he has. He would see that Naruto is almost helping him progress, which he would secretly smile at. No, he can't really let his smile be known, of course. And pretty much what would happen is Sasuke would run at him, activating his Chidori, but this time, right when he's about to strike and Itachi's about to grab his wrist, he would cancel the ability, and right behind him, Sasuke, there would be a clone. He would then hold Itachi down, as Sasuke would then get ninja wire, and he would put it to his mouth as he would throw it around Itachi, and Sasuke would try to use a fire style jutsu. He would then do fire style fire dragon jutsu, as for a second a fire dragon would form from the head of the fire, and it would go right for Itachi. So he would then use the jutsu to try to burn Itachi alive, but once it would be revealed, there would be a burnt body of Itachi, as a few seconds later he would then rip the satisfaction from Sasuke as it would turn into crows. After this, Itachi would appear behind him, grab his wrist, and shatter it, as he would then grab him by the throat and slam him against the wall just like in canon. And he would say, "Nice try, little brother. It seems you really have gotten stronger." As he would say, "Tsukiyomi." Now, Sasuke would be in this genjutsu, and he would try his best. He would remember Naruto's advice on how to break out of this advanced genjutsu, since Naruto would have been told by Sasuke of this genjutsu and how he can break out. So pretty much Naruto would advise sort of pretty much echoed in his head. So he would have closed his eyes as he's getting stabbed constantly in that on the pole, as he would start to output his chakra. Now Itachi inside the genjutsu would be like, "What?" And for who break the genjutsu with only the 3 tomoe. I know like you can't really break at the genjutsu since Kakashi didn't do it, but since like Sasuke is like a perfect Uchiha, is the reincarnation of Indra, you should be able to break out of that easily. So pretty much what would happen is Sasuke would break out the genjutsu, and Itachi would be like, "Seems you really have gotten stronger. I like this new you. Maybe soon enough you'll be stronger than me, but not now." Sasuke would be like, "I don't really care," as he would then reach his hand out and he would form a Chidori before then speeding past him, body flickering from one point to another to try to confuse Itachi, as he would then jab the Chidori towards Itachi. Now what would happen is Naruto, while pretty much slamming Kisame into a wall, he would then use a trapping Kido like Bakudo number 63, Sajo Sabaku, as Sasuke, Naruto would be like, "This is your chance, do it." As Sasuke would then jab the Chidori right into Itachi, or at least try to. And for a few seconds there, it looked like it actually penetrated. It actually got like the skin of his chest. But once there would be an explosion, as once the smoke is revealed, Itachi would be there with his Mangekyo activated and the Susanoo pretty much protecting him. It would be like the full body. Now, it would then disappear a few seconds later with Sasuke, Itachi grabbing his eye in pain, since he just used the full body Susanoo and used like the Yara mirror to reflect it, since he didn't have any time to actually, just deflect it. It would have been like a hard time. He would have had a hard time to basically deflect the jutsu. Now, pretty much, Jiraiya would then appear. Oh, I just went blank for a second. So Jiraiya would appear, and pretty much Itachi and Kisame would run, and they would be tired. Itachi just had to use his full body. He was about to die, which was he was very proud of Sasuke. He almost made Sasuke die at that point. He almost died from Sasuke. And my English at this point, I've been recording for 1 hour and 42 minutes. That's probably why. Now, pretty much I'm gonna go in fast mode here. Now, due to Orochimaru knowing that Naruto would be there, he won't show up. He's scared of Naruto. Number one, he's heard stories about how Naruto literally just with his smile defeated S-rank ninjas. Well, that would have just been a rumor, but he didn't come. That would be in his best interest. Jiraiya's there, Sasuke's there with the 3 tomoe now, and he's gonna fight Tsunade as well. No, this would be too much for him. So he wouldn't have come, as Naruto would bring Tsunade back with, they would just convince her, and there would be no Orochimaru saying, "Oh, I'll revive your brother and Don," and stuff like that. No, that wouldn't happen. So Tsunade would come back after just a few hours of, Jiraiya doing his sweet talk and stuff. So Tsunade would come back, and we'll initiate the training arc. So let me explain what's going to happen. Now, what I'm going to have is Naruto and Sasuke, they're going to go rogue. Now, they would talk to Tsunade, saying that we're just going to make it look like we went rogue, but we'll be sending you information and other important details like that. Now, if you're wondering why they're going rogue and stuff like that, they've gained new information about the Itachi's possible hideout, and they want to go train for 3 years, and since the Akatsuki will know their location is compromised, they'll go attack the Akatsuki, and hopefully they'll be able to take them out for good. Now, pretty much what would happen is 3 years later, Sakura will be I guess for some time heartbroken by the Naruto and Sasuke going rogue, but they would send her letters and just keep going, getting stronger. We'll be back soon. And pretty much she would ask Kurenai and Tsunade to train her. Pretty much, Sakura enhancing more of her high speed regeneration, and the multiplier would go from 10 to 15. Sakura then also learned genjutsu like the abyss. Like she would then put her opponent trapped into a pole, basically looking into the darkness. Then there's another genjutsu where there's no sound. Now if you don't know, if you go into a genjutsu with no sound for a while, you'll go crazy just for an hour. Now think about this, but for 3 days. She would make her opponent go crazy unless you had the Mangekyo Sharingan, then you can easily break out. Or maybe a 3 Tomoe mastered. But other than that, it would be very hard to break out unless the opponent was like pitying you at that point. Now Naruto, Sasuke would get his EMS. Now if you're wondering how would he get the EMS, I understand the EMS people are thinking, but EMS, how is that possible? I meant to say MS and then EMS. So, if you guys don't know, Indra is a pure-blooded Uchiha technically, and he reincarnates a Madara, who is then a pure-blooded Uchiha. So basically, Naruto got Sasuke to unlock his quote-unquote MS, but this was actually his EMS, but he would never go blind. Whoa, pause. But number one, Naruto also has high-speed regeneration, other factors like that. So he could permanently have Sasuke reach an ascension where he would have said EMS. Just think of this as a MacGuffin, okay? Or not a MacGuffin, no. Think of this as Archimedes Aizen really pulling a bitch move to really upscale Sasuke and Sakura. Now, after the 3-year time skip, Naruto would have pretty much, I guess, long black hair. Not that of an Uchiha, but more silky, more free. It's not like spiky. Sasuke would kind of look like his usual form. He would have looked maybe like his war arc form, I guess, in a sense, with his sword. And yeah. He would have taken off Kenjutsu, and Naruto would have been there to teach him. Now Sakura would just look like Sakura. I guess she would have looked just fine. Now, pretty much what would happen is Naruto and Sasuke, they would then pretty much go to the location of the Akatsuki hideout. Now once they would go there, Naruto would be waiting outside. So he would take a few deep breaths. He would then appear by Nagato, and Nagato would be shocked. He would try to call out for Konan, but he didn't have enough time, as his neck would be impaled with Naruto's sword. Naruto would say, "Shh, be quiet," as he would then rip out both of his eyes, and he would say, "Shh, let's have a peaceful death, shall we?" As he would then take off his head. Now, pretty much, he would then make a fake message to Konan to basically come over there. And Konan would walk in to basically be attacked by Naruto and Sasuke, her being murked. Before she didn't really have any prep time, so she couldn't do what she did to Obito. So yeah, Konan would be unfortunately killed, just like Nagato. And basically in this time, Naruto would have gave Sasuke the Rinnegan. Now, I don't know. I just really like giving Sasuke the Rinnegan. Like in this time where they basically invade the Akatsuki hideout, I just don't see why not. Sasuke get the Rinnegan. He has enough chakra. It's not like he'll die from the side effects. So Naruto would make a transfusion where he would give Sasuke the Rinnegan, and he would become he would start to receive all the rest of pretty much what would happen is Naruto. Sorry, my bad. I keep getting the names mixed up. I'm gonna slow down. So Sasuke, what would happen is something weird would happen. He would get the Rinnegan, and he would immediately pass out. Now, what would happen is Hagoromo would finally get a chance to speak with Sasuke. Due to him getting the Rinnegan, he has more access to Sasuke. Now, because the Rinnegan is a mixture of Hashirama and Madara, which is a mixture of Ashura and Indra, so that would give more access to Sasuke. So we would speak to Sasuke without the terms of Sasuke almost dying. So we would talk to Sasuke, and he would give Sasuke, his chakra, all of it. He feels like Sasuke can be the Sage of Six Paths. In the whole reincarnation, he only gave it to Ashura. Now he realized maybe he should just give it to Indra. There could be some equality, and he can see that Naruto and Sasuke have clearly broken the curse of hatred. And Naruto's already seems to have some unknown power, and he can't see it for himself, because whenever he would try to go to Naruto's mindscape, for some reason the remnants of Ashura's chakra would not be there, but it would be that of someone else, someone unknown. But he wouldn't try to investigate since he knows Naruto is a good person, so there'd be no reason to do that. Now after that would be like, this would take like an hour. So in this hour, like after they're pretty much finished and all, they would it would be finished, and pretty much Obito would walk in just randomly. He was checking in on Nagato, but he would see that Naruto and Sasuke are there. So he would immediately get into, ready, and before Naruto would, like basically what would happen is Obito would be ready to convoy, but the thing is Naruto would, use his massively faster than light speeds to appear behind, Obito before, cutting through his heart. Now after this, Obito would try to, kind of teleport his heart into a different dimensions where it would still be in his body but not at the same time. But this wouldn't work, as Naruto would have pretty much used his Bankai to poison the rest of his blood system, and Sasuke would have pretty much used his Amaterasu just instinctively from all the memories of Indra and Hagoromo. So that means he had, memories to Madara, which means he knows all the Mangekyo abilities of himself. So he would then use Amaterasu, and Obito would start burning to ashes as they would go through the rest of the building. All the dolls of the 6 Paths of Pain, they would just fall over dead, since there's no one controlling it. And it also uses an advantage to find out the locations of, the other members, since Sasuke has the Rinnegan. You can go into that doll and you can look where all the rest of the Katsuki are. So to go through the building, immediately start murking people, as pretty much Itachi and Sasuke, they would face off against each other, as they would Sasuke would kill everyone but Itachi. He wants to have his final fight with Itachi. Now what would happen is they would go outside and they would pretty much kind of have a finale battle, a final battle in a sense. And pretty much Itachi, right before he would start fighting, it's like, alright, I'm gonna tell you this, and if you want to keep fighting, sure, that's fine, but if not, that's fine as well. So he would then tell Sasuke that what really happened is that Danzo pretty much manipulated a lot of things, which caused he pretty much killed Shisui. It wasn't me that killed Shisui, it was Danzo. He stole Shisui's eye, and then Shisui basically committed suicide, giving me his eye, as he would pretty much summon the same crow and with the eye as well. Now Itachi would then try to explain this in a genjutsu. So he would put Sasuke in the same genjutsu, would go through pretty much everything, as after this Sasuke would realize what happened, and I'm gonna do what Rogex does in his videos when Itachi and Sasuke are kind of back together as brothers. Pretty much Sasuke and Itachi would have a transfusion. Itachi would get the EMS due to Indra's DNA in a sense spreading out into Itachi, giving him eternal sight. Yeah, I had to think of the word there. And this would give Sasuke the EMS. Number one, if you switch eyes, you're already gonna get the EMS if you both have the Mangekyo. So yeah, that's automatically how it works. Then pretty much what would happen next is the Akatsuki is finished. So the 5 Kage Summit, everything else after that would pretty much kind of go normally. There'd be no 4th Great Ninja War, and the Hidden Leaf Village would have been still the strongest village ever. Now we'll do a time skip for about, right now they're about 17, so we'll do a time skip for about 10 years. Now after this, everyone would have been grown up. They would have had their own kids. Naruto would have still had Boruto, but Boruto would look completely different, have completely different abilities, and just the works. So when it comes to whole Ishiki and Momoshiki, Kinshiki, Urashiki, they would have been completely defeated. Number one, Sasuke is pretty much like the Sage of 6 Paths at this point. He would have had some Otsutsuki chakra, and pretty much Naruto really doesn't have any, since number one, just Unohana's presence, this is literally Unohana's reincarnation, not Ashura. So if you guys are wondering if Naruto is the reincarnation of Ashura, he isn't. I would kind of transfer over to Sasuke at that point, but he wouldn't retain any of Ashura's personality. It's kind of a hard thing to explain. Then yeah, so when Ishiki came along, let's just say, I don't even have to debate this or even explain this, he done. All the Otsutsukis are done, and their planet would have been safe from any of the quote-unquote aliens. Now, yeah, guys, this will be the end of this What If. I did spend a lot of time actually, working on this video, as Yami can tell here, even though he's kind of deafened right now. But without further ado, guys, in the next series, tomorrow, hopefully, will be What If Naruto with Shinji's reincarnation. That'll be the movie special. I'm kind of currently redoing that. Hopefully, I'll completely do better. But without further ado, guys, have a good day. 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 Have a good day.